So this is the technical guide for no pose. No pose has a lot of technical things in it. Actually, this might be a bit of a long one. Remember, it's not about being perfect. It's about finding the good enough pose. First thing, what's it for? Boundaries. No's really important part of life, being able to say no to oneself, to other people. Didn't put that in the inquiry actually in the demo, but saying no to yourself is another part of this. This is huge actually, it really changes people's lives. Equally, it can be quite an emotional one for people. I've seen quite a lot come up for this where people, for example, have had their boundaries crossed, or they haven't asserted a boundary and later regretted it, So bear in mind, this is one of those ones where you could be dealing with sensitive content, is the first thing I'll say, but super, super important stuff. Okay, so the pose, Vidas, if you could step into a wide yang stance. So similar stance you'll see for a number of the yang ones. Yeah, front knees bent, back legs extended. He's gone relatively long, but remember, let's say if he wasn't, he's a yoga teacher, he's used to it, he could go even shorter and show them a really short one. I had a little old lady in one of my courses once and she just did it like that. It's totally fine as long as the weight's forward, right? That's the key thing. Okay, back into our more familiar one. So roughly as wide as the mat, front knee nice and bent, back leg extended. That does change things if that back leg goes floppy. Okay, and remember it's the front hand and the front foot. This is called a homolateral pattern. Okay, it feels weird at first. You'll see this a lot in martial arts, but normally in life we have what's called a heterolateral pattern. Okay, we walk like this. Yeah, so these ones can feel a bit strange when it's the same hand and the same foot. So that's a common mistake, is to do it the opposite way around. No. It's left foot, but right hand. It feels weird to you now because you've done it so much. That will actually feel more normal for a lot of people at first. So left hand in front. Great. Okay, the hand is in the middle. So from this angle, it's right in the middle. What it's not is to the side, okay, or crossing over like that. Like sometimes that could be a bit open or a bit defensive, for example. Sometimes people's mistakes aren't exactly mistakes. They're habits reasserting themselves, right? This is where mistakes are interesting in EYP. Another way to make it more open would be to open the fingers. You'll see that a lot. Some people almost have like a stroking quality in the front hand, like bah, bah, bah. Okay, you'll see almost that quality with some people. Another one would be to push away. Yeah, and often the head will come forward and the arm will straighten. Okay, they'd be like, kind of quality, yeah? And the arm, okay, the eyes will usually get a bit too tight, okay? And again, the balance, nearly all EYP poses, the head and the hips are in a line. Like keep there. So you see here, come back into, so that's not in a line. Equally, if he was sort of too far back, go a bit timid. Again, the head and the hips aren't aligned. All right, see this line here, yeah? Okay, he's exaggerating it, but a lot of people have like a subtly kind of collapsed no that way. Okay, so coming into a nice balance. The face is determined, focused, without looking like he's going to kill you. So sometimes the example I'll use for people that look a bit too, no, and I hate you, is like, how would you tell a child no when they wanted to stay up late? You wouldn't be like, no, you little bastard, right? You'd be like, no. Yeah, so looking for that firm but fair, like a good parent, a good teacher, not aggressive or too passive. That's your basic, too much yin, too much yang. That's your basic thing. You'll see it in the hand, you see it in the arm, you'll see it in the face. You also see it in the other hand. So weird walking behind you. You'll see this get a bit aggressive. So if the sort of fingers go white, or I sometimes call this the Slavic Fist, because my wife's Ukrainian and she was the first person I saw doing it, was when the hand comes forwards a bit. Yeah, some people almost like that. Yeah. The opposite to that, of course, would be to just have that hand a bit dangly. So take the elbow back. Yeah. Some people it's just very slight in the wrist, to show the sort of slight version. So it's just doesn't look like they could really defend themselves. Yeah. And other people, it's literally like the whole arm's dangling. So just completely like they've forgotten it. I see that fairly regularly, actually. Again, these mistakes are not mistakes. They're patterns that are being revealed. Of course, it could be that he hurt his shoulder or something, right? It could just be a physical pattern. But I see a correlation, and I'm guessing you will too as a teacher. Okay, so they're the main mistakes in no pose. Not facing would be another one. So, turn the hips slightly if you can. Yeah. Okay, so sort of, I said it always feel this is very British, like, no, terribly sorry. Yeah. So a nice way of testing the pose is that it still has that quality of resisting, is you can just give a little push on it. So the direction here would be pushing this way, like against something coming in. Is it right if I give a little? Yeah. Yep. Sure. So sometimes I just do like 1 or 2 fingers like that on the hand. I'm not trying to push someone over. I'm just helping them feel. Equally, if he got too pushy, so get like a bit aggressive, if I was to, he'll feel that loss of balance, yeah? Okay, or if sometimes I'll do this with people and they'll just completely collapse, right? And you know, it doesn't even have to be that excessive, it could just be the hand, right? And it's like, well, hang on a minute, aren't we doing no pose? Yeah, and then they'll go, oh yeah, okay. And so I'm not trying to trick them or even test them. It's more about helping them get that feedback into their body. So they go, oh yeah, my body is a bit less strong than it needs to be to say no at this point, yeah? Okay, safety stuff for this one. The physical things, again, not so severe. I mean, all the EYP poses are designed to be physically very safe, particularly if you make them more narrow, if people need to. You're not straining the knees at all. The more with this one, it's more on the emotional level. So because people may have had bad boundaries or had their boundaries not respected, it can bring up emotion. Yeah, and again, if doing these at home, you know, that's the time to pull away. If I'm teaching and I see someone that looks a little bit too triggered, I might say, just take a break. Yeah, or I might tell the whole group, hey, if anyone wants to, you know, take a rest, feel free. And I'm just quite sensitive to this as I'm teaching. It's definitely one of the ones to be aware of, that, you know, bad things can have happened to people around boundaries, and to really, you know, to bring a sense of care and respect to that. So many of the poses will have variations. This is a variation on no pose we call no leaving behind. So I was in a workshop once and someone said, listen, I want to kind of say no to my ex, and you know, they keep texting me, I don't want to text them back. You know, they're actually doing it, which is quite interesting. They were doing it in their body. And I realized they didn't need a facing no, which is no's normally kind of relational. Okay, I'm saying no to you, but I'm saying yes to the relationship. In this case, we're saying no to the relationship and the request. Yeah. Sometimes we need to leave things behind. Key thing here is to be moving forwards and looking forwards. A mistake would be sort of like, are you okay? Like, okay, like that. Okay, so actually moving on. So there's an example of a variation, a no variation.